Well, the city already have vehicles that have over the years deteriorated, and then we're using our vehicles.
And those vehicles that are deteriorated are the ones that we saw the ones that are just parked out in the woods.
Yes, and
all those vehicles,
and we were having
all those vehicles that we passed that we came from the dock, they're not operational.
Oh, no,
I wouldn't say that.
Those are just sitting on the marsh leaking fluid though, EPA.
I would say that, but this is what happened, and they just imposed another tax on the resident up here. But this island, slave was on this island for 300 years ago, and one of the things that's happening now is that they want to impose all of us off this island. For instance, I have a nephew, which is descendant from the, $23,380.
What happens when you
$350 somehow.
What happens when you appeal those assessments?
And
Well, we're in the process of appealing now, but I know the appeal,
Well, this is something, this is something that's recent.
excuse me.
This is something that has happened recently.
Right, just happened.
All right, so can you give us some more here? All right, the tax service, the trash service has not been provided. The property value assessments have been dramatically increased. What other things are being done in an attempt to make it less?
Our areas where services are administratively accountable to be provided by the county. Transportation services, grading of roads is not being provided.
Explain what we mean by that.
So,
The transportation services on the island that McIntosh County is required to provide that they're not being provided? All right, can you give us an example of what that is?
yes, roads have to be graded, are not. The accountability of being able to dig ditches so the water can drain properly, not being done. Medical services, there's no ambulance on the island, no nurse, no medical facility over here on the island. So those three areas. Education, there's no school on the island.
There's no ambulance and there's no provisions to evacuate someone from the island if they're in the event of emergency.
There is, but nothing is located on the island like it is in every other part of the county to service the needs of people going home.
There is a group of first responders, and anyone can call the helicopter in a life-threatening emergency, but there is no EMT office over here.
The truck is the only thing we have over there.
But when we talk about a nighttime helicopter flight, you have to find your way in because there's no actual path for the helicopter to land that has lights described.
I just trying to, like one of the gentlemen introduced me to the captain on the boat, and he was explaining the schedule for the ferry. And one of the things he emphasized was that the ferry stays here at night, and that in emergency situations, he's responsible for transferring someone back to the mainland.
We're talking about general services that are not being made available.
Services that go beyond the fact that it's an island, like it's beyond geography. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it has nothing to do with geography, it has to do with a county that provides those services. So, transportation, education, health and human services, youth programs, elderly programs.
Can I ask Mr. Commissioner, has the county ever offered an explanation as to why those services are being provided?
Now, we do service over here.
on, when the people requested it. Now, when they talk about drain ditches, the DNR, told me years ago, do not, go beyond a certain point, in the ditches. They want water to remain in the ditches for the dead. So therefore you don't have a drainage system, and therefore, that's why you have a specific.
These folks have been giving me a list of things that, as I understand, they contend that the Nacogdoches County Board of Commissioners are responsible for providing to Sapelo Island. Has the commission ever offered an explanation as to why those things are not being provided?
No, they haven't.
I want to point out that when the Department of Natural Resources took purview, there was a contract that they signed with R.J. Reynolds about essential services. We've done plenty of requests of this contract and still have not received this particular contract, which Lucy Lee, who is a resident here on the island, told us in the meeting she has seen, as well. Well, she's just a resident here on the island, a Caucasian resident who claims to have seen this contract, brought it up in a meeting.
And that's a contract between the state of Georgia and
R.J. Reynolds as essential services contract. So once you get your hands on that, we will have exact understandings of what the Department of Natural Resources is supposed to do on the lands that R.J. Reynolds stole in the first place and then claimed to have sold the Brooklyn Bridge known as Sapelo Island to the state of Georgia. Now let's get to this land and title issue, and I want to make mention. We prepared lunch for our guests, so we're going to stop in 15 minutes and allow them to eat, and then we all take a break so that we can come back and maybe regroup, take some time to write down some questions, and then we'll cover every issue. But let's talk about essential services as a whole.
I think you probably will get a better picture of what we're talking about. Do you have a map with all the communities?
The map.
Maybe, oh, you have another. Here, right, there were what, how many communities?
There were 13 communities on this island comprising upwards of 1,700 people. Now reduced to one community known as Homecoming. When we start talking about lands and titles of the federal government on the north end of the island, we're talking about the Department of Interior under the Pittman-Robertson Act, which reimbursed the state for claiming to have cleared title and deed and registering it in McIntosh County, collusion and conspiracy. We know for a fact, if you talk about the 9,000 acres in the wildlife management area known as R.J. Reynolds Federal Aid Project, we have requested that that land use assessment be turned over to us in Georgia Open Request Act. We still have yet to receive that. So here we're dealing with the federal aid.
Requested to who? I mean,
Department of Natural Resources.
Georgia had an Open Records Act.
Yeah.
They're required to give you that stuff in 3 days. So if
Exactly.
they haven't gotten it in 3 days.
So can we deal with that issue as not being the Georgia Open Records Request Acts granted in 3 days?
You file a petition with the Superior Court, has that been done?
Superior Court.
Don't you have
Well, this is why we have an action, one of the major problems is the finance. This is what the group is working with. If you don't have the money to file these complaints, so you have to use another means of action.
So when we're talking about federally, we're talking about the Department of Interior on the north end. When we talk about the south end, we're talking about the Department of Commerce who reimbursed the state, claiming to have cleared title and deeds on certain lands on the south end, known as the Coastal Conservation Management Act. So we have two federal entities turning money over to the state for a claim of clearing titles and deeds that we know are falsely registered within the county when that becomes evident to us, we're saying to ourselves, well, at least we can cover the north end and the south end under federal purview, but let's go under federal purview of the ACHP, Advisory Council on Historic Preservation. Well, that's all coming. That's the surrounding waterways. Because we understand that through section 106 and other sections, if we start talking about the National Register of Historic Places, not that they can do any enforcement activity, but they can deal with public policy. And what we're talking about under the National Register of Historic Places is the destruction of the community through land value assessments, because you're looking at 2- and 3-story homes that stand next to our 600 or 700 square foot, most of the families, trailers or cultural homes that have been built 80 to 100 years ago within this community. So once that dwelling goes up, of course the land value assessment, but why is that dwelling allowed to go up outside of the district intent created by the county of McIntosh? So in talking about mandating the laws of the county is not being done. And that's why we understand the federal government can have a possibility of saying to the county, it's time for you to mandate yourselves. You wrote a district intent that says you can't build those houses, but yet you let the county building, zoning, and ordinance department and the legal builders the permit to come over and build the houses that, of course, again, is going to raise our taxes, and economically, we can't afford that type of tax increase. But how do you get away with land value assessment through a tax assessor's office after 17 years of not doing the critical research of land values, especially on the island? But McIntosh County as well, mainland is suffering the same dollars, because if you're in one of these coastal areas, we all know they're worth billions and billions of dollars. We already discussed that the tourism industry is the #1 industry in the United States of America. And as we're dealing with the economic department of the state of Georgia Tourism Division creating our product, we have been told verbatim that we have something nobody else has on all of these destroyed islands. We still have the culture. We're still protecting the heritage. And as one of our family members said, we're attempting to find out how to protect the cemeteries. Loss of land, memory eradication is cultural deprivation.